idea that I came up with because most of the time my students, if they can, will spend time in the classroom on Facebook. So what I want to do is keep them occupied on their mobile devices away from Facebook and engaging with the content. So I use a presentation tool called Prezi. Has anyone used Prezi? nQuio allows you to add your content. So what I wanted to do with this system is to seamlessly integrate with what you already have. Because as Nick said, you know, you don't want to be learning new technologies, and when there's new technologies that come out, it's like, I'm not going to use it, I don't have time to integrate it and use it. This is my talk for today, so it is a Prezi, but you can insert Google Docs, SlideShare, other presentation stuff in here, and you pair it with a quiz that you've put together, and it's just a multiple choice quiz. Okay, we have. Now, when you've logged in, now you don't have to log in as yourself, you can have a pseudonym if you like. Your name appears across the bottom and your scores so far in the quiz. So there's quiz questions that appear as multiple choices throughout. So I've used this system in class for teams who can play together and they have a team name and their scores along the bottom, or individuals. I've also used it at conferences to engage the audience with the materials that I'm presenting. Okay. Now the questions are paced and based along with the actual presentation, so that as a slide comes up or as some information comes up, then I will give the answer. The people are way ahead of me here. Okay. Okay, so this is Prezi. I've had a little bit about me. So I've already said I'm into educational technology. I teach games and animation in the Faculty of Society and Design. I've got 4 books there. Just a little plug. I also write novels, by the way, if you're interested in sci-fi type things. I take a holistic view to my classes, so I like to combine the art and the technology together, but more about Prezi. Okay, so we're logged in, and we shall go on. When I was thinking about, well, what is blended learning, I looked up a definition, and this gets thrown around a lot, and one of the parts was online delivery of content and instruction, which I guess, yes, it is. And we've had online delivery of content and instruction for quite a long time, and blended learning is a sort of new term that's being used. And I guess I'm a little bit being on my soapbox here by saying that I'd like to see that definition really expanded to be something that is learner-centred and includes the entirety of a course, not just delivering it with the instruction, but having interaction, including the assessment, and being very flexible and agile in the way that materials delivered. Excellent. Prezi will run on all platforms. You can create your Prezis online, so they exist in the cloud, the magical cloud, and that means you can then access from any machine that you're at. You can also access them on your iPad, tablet device. There's a desktop version of Prezi, or your mobile phone. So you can actually be editing your Prezi on your tablet or your mobile phone just before you get up and speak, and it's all online. And other people can then go and have a look at it when you make it available. So Prezis are created on a great big canvas. Instead of being like separate slides, you have this big canvas. Now, as an artist, I think that's fantastic because I can create stuff on here. And I love finding an image that sort of sums up the entire part of my talk, and then I start putting little Prezi bubbles around the information, and I build this sort of piece of art, I'd like to call it. So you've got this really big canvas that you can work on, and what that does is it allows you to zoom right out. This is the extent of Prezi, or you can zoom right in. So you can have different emphasis on different bits of information. You might want to show a holistic view of your entire talk with bubbles with the main topics, and then you can focus in on them. And then when you sort of run out of room in your bubble, you can focus in and focus in. You can also do things like turning on the side if you want to emphasise some points, or arrange stuff artistically in that way. And you can also just pan across from one thing to the other. So it's like single slides, but they're all together on the one document. Now, you don't have to use all of these vertigo-inducing zooming and zooming out. And I do have a colleague who can't watch a lot of Prezis because he gets seasick. But if you design them simply enough, without all of this, dramatic effects that I've got, you can keep it quite simple. So you have things where you can still reveal your dot points one by one. You can also embed videos from Vimeo and YouTube quite easily. You just type in the URL and it just sticks the video in there for you. So I thought, what video will I show? Who doesn't like a good cat on the internet YouTube video? So just a quick look.
In the beginning, the universe was created. This made a lot of people very angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move.
You can also embed snippets of voice into Prezi on certain bubbles. You can have a whole backing track if you like. I think that might be a little distracting. I actually used Prezi to create a teaching portfolio for myself, and I had all these bubbles, and each bubble I had little voice snippets that I would put over them to explain what was going on. If you already have your content in PowerPoint, you can upload that directly into Prezi. You just take your PowerPoint file and straight up, and it will give you options for arranging it in different ways, whether you want to have it sort of a circular or in a spiral, or you want to have straight through like that. And then you can export the Prezi, and each bubble becomes a different page on a PDF document. And you can also embed it into iLearn. So this is an example from next week's class, where we're going to be looking at fractals and really cool things like chaos theory. And this is a Prezi that I've embedded in the actual iLearn page, so students can then play that and interact with it there as well. Okay, so quickly about nQuio. The nQuio website, if you're interested, is nQuio.com. You can give it a number of different forms of your content. I mean, you could even put a YouTube video in this big central area and play the whole YouTube video, and there could be a series of questions going through, and the students could be answering those as they're watching it. There's Slide Rocket. If you've got anything in Google Docs, you can put that in that area. So this is just a sort of a canvassy area, and nQuio sits around the outside of it. I use games a lot in the classroom, firstly to engage with students and to have a rapid feedback. And one of the things that games and computer games do really well to keep people engaged is to have rapid feedback. And often when you've got a lot of assessment items, students don't get that feedback, and often it can take several weeks before they get some feedback. So it's nice if they can sort of self-evaluate. The other big thing, one of the big motivators, was to keep the students away from Facebook and engaged with the class while giving a lecture. And also competition. So as I said, not just single people, but teams of students get together and actually compete. Now, there are other similar systems that you can use with your smartphone. We've already seen Poll Everywhere. It's a similar system where you've got it multiple choice or even free format answering. There's one called Socrative, iClicker, and also Top Hat. I'm not trying to sell nQuio, but nQuio is the only system I've seen that embeds the lecture content with the quiz system sitting around it. So who won? Peter?
Yeah.
Yes, you're a clear winner. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Usually I have a chocolate bar or a coffee voucher or something. Sorry. Glory. So thank you. Is there any questions?